So at this point, since it appears to be a suicide and you're handing it over to medical examiner's office, where does your office go from here? Are you done with this investigation?
No, we work with the coroner's office, and we will work with any other law enforcement agency or investigative agency that would want any information from us as a result of this investigation.
But again, you haven't heard from any other authorities?
No.
Because one would find it quite interesting if the federal authorities were now involved in somewhat related investigation are not interested in the evidence that you picked up in his own office.
Well, they may very well be. We have not yet received any inquiries from another law enforcement agency.
In the evidence you collected, was there any reference to the ongoing investigation involving Mr. Pagano at Metra?
I don't know the answer to that question, but if I did, I wouldn't comment on that at this time.
Sheriff, was this a pretty easy area of track to walk onto where he walked on? I mean, most track is, but
yes.
In a way or anything like that?
No, well, if you go down to the area, the Prairie Bike Path area does have a fence, so if you parked in it, you'd have to walk around the fence or go crawl over the fence to get to the tracks. My guess is that he probably walked around a short distance to get to Hillside.
So this is an area that no one would see him, or?
Oh, no, it's not in an area where you wouldn't be seen.
So for people who aren't familiar with that area, because we out there, the part we were at, there wasn't a fence. It was like a little covered, it was like a restroom area, and then maybe a
I believe there's a fence out there, is there not?
Did you know Mr. Pagano personally?
No, I didn't.
Have there been any other similar incidents at that spot?
I think we had a death out there about 3 years ago. Train versus pedestrian fatality.
Was that also a suicide?
Yes.
Do you know if Mr. Pagano typically rode that train route?
I have no idea.
Is his residence near there?
His residence is probably a mile and a half, 2 miles from there.
In terms of that train, again, it was southbound. It would have been going to where? The Crystal Lake Station?
Not to Crystal Lake, to the Pingree Road Station, which is the newest Crystal Lake Station, but it's not the downtown depot.
And would it have been going downtown eventually?
No, it was going to the Pingree Road Station.
Does the train come around a bend there, so
yes.
that it's a blind spot?
Yeah. No, I mean, where he was hit was just a straightaway. Eventually it makes a curve to get to the Pingree Road Station.
So if you were headed downtown on that station, you have to switch trains somewhere?
To Chicago?
Yeah.
No. No.
That train would
It comes from McHenry and goes to Chicago. There are trains on the Northwestern that come from Woodstock and head to Chicago. It's another spur that eventually heads into Chicago.
So it was a Chicago-bound train?
Yes, ma'am. Southbound.
To your knowledge, did he just have one child?
I don't know.
Who, as far as you know, is the last person you spoke with?
I don't know who the last person was that he spoke with.
Or do you know when?
No.
In your investigation, was there any indication of drugs or alcohol use or anything like that?
No, but any toxicology would be done by the coroner's office at a later time.
But no parent?
No. But we have a press release also that we can give you before you leave that will recap what we talked about.
And there was one vehicle at the crossing.
Yes.
They did not observe the actual impact occurred.
There was a woman who was at the crossing but was not looking at the direction of the train or was not paying attention at that moment when the impact actually occurred. So she did not see the actual impact.
Will you release her name?
No, not at this time.
And Sheriff, just so I'm clear on this, was not right at the rail crossing and the road crossing. It was down, I think you said 30 feet or so, something like that?
Our accident investigation crew went out there and they believe the point of impact was probably around 30 feet from the actual grade crossing to the paved portion of the roadway and the track.
If I may, how gruesome was the scene?
As you can imagine, very gruesome.
And you're confident no passengers actually saw him struck?
Well, we spoke to the passengers and they were in the train, not outside of the train, so they wouldn't be in a position. The engineer certainly was in a position to observe.
Sheriff, Did your department have a chance to actually talk to the engineer?
Yes, they did.
And in your talking to the engineer, what did he say that he saw? Did he say maybe he saw him trying to move or just stand there? What did he actually tell
I
you?
saw a man standing on the tracks, turning and looking at the train. There was eye contact he felt between himself and the victim, between he and Mr. Pagano.
No movement to try to get away?
No attempt to step off of the track.
Did he say whether it looked like the victim was speaking?
No.
Was there anybody else with the engineer, the other employees?
No, just the engineer that was in a position to see. So there are 2 Metra employees, a conductor and a brakeman, who are also employees on that train. They work for Metra. The actual engineer is a Union Pacific employee.
They were not in the cab?
No, apparently just the engineer.
What happened with all the passengers and the crew on that train?
Well, after the train was stopped, Metra provided taxi service for those people to continue on to Chicago.
Having spoke with his wife, when was the last time they spoke to one another?
I don't know.
Is there any evidence that he fought with his wife in the 24 hours before his suicide?
None that we're aware of.
Is there any evidence that she was concerned that something like this could happen?
Not that we're aware of at this time.
So no domestic issues that you're aware of?
Not that we're aware of, no.
None indicated in the letter, or, did you say there was a letter? You said evidence.
They said evidence. Not that we're aware of.
Can you say if it was a letter, or?
He left some written documents behind.
Was one of those written documents what you would describe as a suicide note?
I would describe it as a letter indicating his intentions, and beyond that, I wouldn't want to characterize it.
Indicating his intentions to take his life on the tracks?
We believe so. We believe it was an intentional act. All the evidence and information that we've been able to obtain leads us to believe that, and we have no information to the contrary. We have no information that would indicate that in any way this was a criminal act.
All right, thank you guys.